What's going on, Marvel fans? Alex here from UnrealEntGaming, here today to present my review for Thor 2 The Dark World. Now, as many of you may already know, this is the second installment to the Thor franchise, with Christopher Hemsworth playing the role as Thor. Now, overall, guys, this video will contain some spoilers, but just because I'm going to reveal some stuff within the movie does not mean it's going to ruin the movie for you. If anything, this will actually encourage you to go see the movie even more. Now, personally, if you ask me, so far this year, this happened to be one of the best movies that I've seen in 2013. To me personally, between Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 The Dark World, Thor 2 definitely topples Iron Man 3. Now, to begin, the movie picks up long ago before the throne of Odin and Thor, with Marvel Studios introducing the origins of the Dark Elves. Now, in the beginning of the film, we actually get to see the Dark Elves actually going into battle with the early Asgardians. Now, before Thor, before Odin, there was a previous king who ruled Asgard by the name of Bor. Now, Bor was said to be the king of Asgard during that time period, and he was one of the few, along with the rest of his Asgardian men, that went into battle with a character by the name of Malekith and his Dark Elf army. Now, in the film, right in the beginning, it is said that there was a infinity gem that was created that was known as the Ether. It is said that Malekith, the accursed, was actually the character and the person who created the Ether, and the Ether was that of great power and darkness. So Malekith, right in the beginning of the film, was said to have a plan to plunge all of the universes into darkness. Why? Because from Malekith's point of view, and from what Malekith said, it is an abomination for the universe to have light, therefore it shall plunge into darkness. Now, this actually gives the Dark Elves an advantage because they were created out of darkness. Now, in the beginning of the film, we saw Bor go into battle with Malekith's army, and Malekith actually unleashed a monster, a demon called the Cursed, which is said to be one of the Dark Elves' most powerful warriors. And we saw the Asgardians fight the Curse. We saw the Asgardians fight the Dark Elves. We saw Bor come in there and try to take the Ether away. And Malekith was pretty much losing in the beginning of the film. So Malekith, out of, great desperation, sacrificed his entire army in order to stop the Asgardians from taking away the Ether. Now, every 5,000 years, it is said that every single universe, every single parallel dimension is said to have a convergence, which means every single universe actually aligns for a specific moment, for a specific time period, before it actually goes away and actually realigns every 5,000 years. So, what Malekith wanted to do was unleash the Ether upon all of the universes when every single portal, when every single dimension was at its peak and aligned. So what followed right before Malekith was about to obtain the Ether and destroy every single thing known in creation, Bor and the Asgardians took the Ether away from Malekith. Therefore, Malekith was relinquished from his power and forcing him into retreat. The movie picks up after that, where we left off in the Avengers movie, with Loki being presented to Odin in chains. And to me personally, Loki made this entire film, because as Loki walked up to Odin, he said, "What? So you're gonna leave me in shackles and chain me, and you're gonna crown, Thor the barbarian as a king while I rot in chains in a prison cell?" And Odin pretty much said, "It was your actions that, led you here. It is your actions that pretty much deemed you damned in our, world, and you pretty much wanted to hail as a god to mere mortals when we ourselves are not gods." And Loki specifically came up and said, "Well, all I wanted to do was be a benevolent god to the earthlings." And then Odin responded by saying, and I think this is very important, Odin said that we are no different than the humans, because they are born and they live and they die. So Odin pretty much has stated that they are not immortal. Whereas Loki followed up by saying, well, give or take about 5,000 years, we live a lot longer than them, so therefore I should have the privilege and the right to rule over them, because I pretty much can live longer than them and I have great power over them. Odin said, we're not gods, we're just mere beings that are created, we live, we're born, we die, and that's it. Therefore, Odin has casted Loki forever to spend the rest of his days in the dungeon cell. So as the movie moves along forward, the movie actually picks up right where it last left off with Jane Foster. Jane Foster was on a date with another man because she pretty much had no idea where Thor was. She had no, contact of him. She didn't see him for such a long time, so she was seeing other people and whatnot. That's when her friend came along and she was telling her about all these strange anomalies going on, and they haven't seen anything like that since New Mexico when Thor first landed in the first movie and whatnot. So as the story goes on forward, Jane Foster and her crew go on over somewhere in London, and they actually discover these weird dimensions and portals that actually lead to other places. So as they're throwing their shoes and bottle cans and all that kind of stuff through these portals, Jane happened to get sucked in and picked up by one of these portals, transferring her to an unknown location where the ether was actually kept and hidden by the Asgardian army and its king Bor long ago. So as Jane Foster is investigating and looking through to see what the ether actually was, she actually stuck her hand out and the ether absorbed her. The ether actually transferred itself into her. So pretty much from there, as the movie begins to roll on forward, she reawakens 5 hours later with the police everywhere, and her friend called the police because she was missing for about 5 hours. She didn't know what to do. Thor actually came along. He finally found Jane Foster, and to Thor's surprise, as one of the policemen was actually going to take Jane Foster into custody for trespassing and pretty much going into private property, the ether reawakened and pretty much knocked everybody on their ass. Thor was actually very shocked because he's never seen anything like that. He grabbed Jane Foster. They go back to Asgard. So as they go to Asgard, actually, I noticed that one of Thor's companions by the name of Sif actually kind of gave Jane Foster such a dirty look, and it looks to me that it's going to be sort of like a romantic rival between Sif and Jane Foster, because Sif grew up with Thor, she loves Thor, she cares for Thor, she wants Thor to be hers, whereas Thor wants to devote his love and effort to Jane Foster. So that right there is an indication that there is definitely going to be something that's going to go down within probably the Avengers 2, or maybe possibly Thor 3, and I'm going to get right into that. So as everything moves along forward, Malekith awakens from his long slumber by his detection of the ether being awakened, and he pretty much has found out where the ether was because, having to be the creator of the ether, he knows everything about it. So pretty much the indication was Malekith has found the ether, and it is in Asgard. It is in Jane Foster. So pretty much from there, what Malekith did was he sent one of his right-hand men over in Asgard to actually get captured as a trap for him to get in from the inside out. So pretty much he stabbed one of his own right-hand men, and he gave him a little diamond looking crystal that looked like a little part of the ether, and he specifically told his right hand man that there is no power in the universe that can affect or destroy him once he cracks this little ether gem and he becomes the cursed. And pretty much when you become the cursed, you become this evil demon-looking Hulk monster who's pretty much indestructible. So pretty much he got himself captured on purpose, may I add, just to break in Asgard from the inside out. So as he did that, pretty much the cursed is walking around, he's destroying everything, and that's when he runs into Loki's chamber. Just right when he was about to free Loki, he stopped. He walked away because he thought that Loki was not even worth the time or the effort. So as Loki is staring the cursed down, he goes on to tell the cursed exactly where he wanted to find what he was looking for. And he specifically said, up the stairs to the left. That's where you're going to find him. So then the curse turns around, gives him like this look, and then begins to walk on off. Thor is alerted. Jane Foster is actually taken by Frida, which is Thor's mother, and Thor's mother specifically told Jane Foster just to listen to her, and she's going to just be okay as long as she follows orders. So then on in, Malekith invades, everybody invades. The guardian of the Asgardian world could not even detect these creatures because they were invisible. He could not sense them, he could not see them, he could not smell them, because these creatures were so advanced that they weren't even able to be detected by Asgard's best guardian. So pretty much as all hell breaks loose, Thor's running around to see what the hell is going on. He's trying to fight off the army and whatnot. Malekith has actually found his way through the throne room and managed to get to Jane Foster and the Queen. So pretty much from there, Malekith and the Queen throw down. And believe it or not, folks, the Queen, Frida, actually got the best of Malekith. She pretty much beat him in combat, and she is a very, very powerful adversary. But then, just when you thought she was going to kill Malekith, the Cursed comes, grabs Frida as Malekith is making his way toward Jane Foster. He goes to Jane Foster, and he pretty much finds out that she is nothing more than an illusion, because the Queen has pretty much created an illusion of Jane Foster to keep him away from Jane Foster himself. So then from then on in, Malekith calls the Queen a wretched witch, and then he asks her one last time, where is the ether? And she specifically tells him, I will never tell you. And that's when the Cursed stabs her right through the ribcage, right through her torso. And right then and there, Thor just comes running in. He witnessed the death of his mother. Having such rage, such fury inside of him, he chucks the hammer, and he actually pretty much eradicates half of Malekith's face. Like, he zaps, his entire, right side of his face off. The Cursed actually saves Malekith. They jump off the edge of the throne room, and they land on the ship, and they go away. Thor is, pissed off. He's going after them. He's throwing the hammer around, but even Thor's hammer was not fast enough to catch up to the Dark Elves' powerful ships. From then on in, the king walks in, Odin walks in, Thor is there, and they see, how Frida's laying there dead. Everybody is in grief. Everybody is just, wondering what the hell just happened. Hundreds of soldiers are dead. Asgard has been reduced to rubble. The king has his plan, and Thor has his. So pretty much as the film goes on forward, Thor's plan was to actually free Loki, use Jane Foster as a decoy and as a bait, so to say, to lure Malekith in on the Dark World so he can go on ahead and release the ether from Jane, so therefore Thor can execute his plan into destroying the ether and Malekith. So he frees Loki out of prison, he gets him out, and from then on in, Loki is actually walking around making fun of Thor. The best part is, since Loki is the master of being a trickster, he actually disguised himself as several characters in the film, including the biggest what the hell holy shit moment of the night, which was the fact that he transformed himself into Captain America, walking side by side next to Thor. And that was the best part, because as they're walking, Loki quote unquote said, here, let me transform and let me pretty much change myself into one of your newer companions. And he transformed into Captain America, and the first thing he said was, wow, I feel so righteous. Let's talk about truth and justice. Yes, God bless America. And Thor pretty much said, shut the hell up, you're gonna get caught. So as the film rolls on in, Thor's plan was actually to get Loki to stab Thor, cut off his arm, and, cause this whole big scene just to get Malekith to believe that Loki is against Thor. So as the film goes on ahead and continues, they're fighting the Cursed and whatnot, Thor actually got beaten down so bad by the Cursed that actually reminded me of when Hulk beat him up. The Cursed was on top of him, pretty much just pounding Thor's face away. Loki comes and stabs the Cursed right through the chest. The Cursed then grabs Loki and stabs Loki with the same spear that he used to stab the Cursed. So pretty much from then on in, everybody's, thinking that Loki's gonna die or whatnot, and to everybody's surprise, Loki dies. Or so we are led to believe. All hell breaks loose on the planet Earth. The convergence is about to happen. Dr. Eric Sullivan has been released from his psychiatric hospital because he was actually, running around Stonehenge talking about how Thor was real and talking about all this stuff. So pretty much the final clash is on Earth. Everything goes down. Malekith is actually on the Dark World, and while he was on the Dark World, he absorbed the ether, and he pretty much got his little victory. So now the final step for Malekith was to go on Earth, converge all the universes, and then plunge everything into eternal darkness. So as that happens, Thor throws down with Malekith. They're both going back and forth in and out of different dimensions. Jane Foster and her assistants are trying to set up these little portals to stop the convergence, and Thor pretty much had to hold off Malekith for about 8 minutes until the portals and the convergence actually separated. Malekith got his way. He's about to unleash the ether. He actually does unleash the ether. Thor walks through the pits of hell himself. He actually throws a couple of the dimension spears right through Malekith's arm and whatnot, and then he finally executes him by actually hitting him with the hammer, causing Malekith to go through the actual portal and into the Dark World himself. From then on in, guys, the movie actually goes to its ending and whatnot, and to everybody's surprise, in the end, Thor was telling Odin, while Odin was sitting on the throne, how noble Loki was, and how pretty much he sacrificed himself to keep Thor alive and all that kind of stuff. And pretty much Odin was confused. He was like, wait a minute, I have a son who wants one throne too much, and I have another son who does not want it, like, what the hell, is this my legacy? And Thor was like, I'd rather be a good man than a great man, because, Loki was a great man, and he sacrificed himself, and he did this to protect us and whatnot. And Odin pretty much, he was looking at Thor kind of funny, which kind of gave me some indication on what was really going on. And then as Thor was walking away, Odin said, I can't give you my blessings, I can't give you my, love and whatnot, but I will say this, you can go on ahead and do what you want. And Thor pretty much said, thank you, Father. And as he walked on out, Odin transformed into Loki. It was Loki the entire time. Loki never died. So that right there is an indication that Odin is dead. Now, we don't know what really happened. We don't know if Loki was the one that killed Odin, or if Odin died of natural causes and Loki just happened to pick up his form. So that right there just says that there is definitely going to be a Thor 3. Now, just by the way he transformed back into his original form, he looked at Thor as he was walking out. He said, no, thank you, brother, while he's sitting on the throne as king. So then pretty much from there, the credits roll on in, and that's when the good stuff happens. Now, after the credit scenes, ladies and gentlemen, we had Sif and another one of Thor's companions walk into a mysterious place with their hoods on and whatnot, and that's when they run into the Collector. So then from then on in, the Collector is like, oh, Asgardians, welcome, welcome. So they pretty much said, here, you know why we're here. And, the Collector looked at both of them and he said, well, why don't you want to keep that in your own vault? And then one of Thor's companions actually said it wouldn't be a smart idea to keep two infinity gems right next to each other side by side. And that's when the Collector said, yes, indeed, I agree. And that's when they gave the Collector the ether as a token to collect for him to hold in his vault. Then as the two leave, pretty much the Collector is at awe. He's looking at the ether, and he's pretty much looking away from the camera, and he said, 1 down, 5 more to go. That right there is an indication of Thanos. That right there is an indication of the Infinity Gauntlet. That right there is an indication that the Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain America are both going to have their own Infinity Gems as a part of the story. And that right there specifically states that Thanos is going to make his way and appear very, very soon, because once all 5 Infinity Stones, Infinity Gems are collected, that's when Thanos is going to make his move and try to steal the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, ladies and gentlemen, having to rate this movie from a 1 to a 5, 5 being the best movie I've ever seen in my entire life, to 1 being the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life, this movie, Thor the Dark World, gets a 5 out of 5 stars from me. This movie had an excellent story. They definitely capitalized right where they left off from the first Thor movie. They executed Loki very well. They explained the convergence perfectly. They were talking about the Infinity Gems. They were talking about the shield. They were referencing to the Avengers. This movie definitely topples Iron Man 3 in terms of Marvel films this year. Now, let me know in the comment section below, guys, on your thoughts and your opinions on this movie. What would you give this movie out of 1 to 5 stars? What did you think of the film? How else do you think Thor 3 is going to play off? Let me know in the comment section below, everybody. Thank you all for watching this episode of my movie review for Thor the Dark World. My name is UnrealEntGaming. If you guys are fans, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for all the latest news, information, information and updates. If you guys enjoyed the video, as always, hit the video up with a like and a favorite, rate that thumbs up button. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Stay tuned for more, everybody, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys later. For Asgard, peace.